Sports Radio 104.3 The Fan presents The Drive. Here's Tyler Columbus and T-Mac.
All right, can we say part of that? Or?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's out there. Tampa Bay just announced that they will be following suit with the Broncos and Seahawks. They will, which is fascinating for the texter that was all over me about Tom Brady. Will Tom Brady allow this with his team? Yeah,
apparently
he will. They were the third team to announce it. So there's also texters on there. Would Peyton Manning allow this? Yeah, probably. I mean, this is bigger than just a player. So, look, I'm not telling you have to like it or respect it, but that's what's going to happen. And I fully expect there to be a chain reaction that comes because of this. Tampa Bay is now the third team. Heck, man, I mean, I don't think it's going to take long until we hear about a ton of teams.
Okay. I would say you're getting the Super Bowl champion with the league's most prominent player.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that Tom Brady doesn't like the offseason anyways. He hasn't been going to previous offseason programs with New England. Mm-hmm. So I really shouldn't be that surprised by it. You know what he's going to do? I mean, he's going to have his own little OTAs. He's going to have his own practices at Pensacola High or whatever.
Sure
Pensacola is nowhere near Tampa Bay. That was really bad geography.
By the time...
Opposite sides. Boy, far.
By the time this time happened, Peyton Manning already had his, passing academy.
Yeah, the passing academy was different. I mean, that was more geared towards younger quarterbacks, but
I'm sorry, I shouldn't use passing academy. He had his workouts at Duke with with
the players.
Gotcha. Yeah, and Eli and working with
They do that in the off season before they go to OTAs.
They do.
Yeah.
Which is one of those will Drew Lock sort of lead that charge? Well, not yet. Well, now what? Okay. Now what? Is that a cool thing to do now or not?
I don't know. It's an interesting predicament for sure, because if you're going to get together on your own and if you're going to have player-led workouts, that certainly doesn't really coincide with the fear
Sure.
of COVID and everything else
doesn't.
And the lack of protocols.
Right.
So I would imagine no is going to be the answer to that.
I would think the answer is no, because anything else would look incredibly hypocritical. Will this curb players from posting things on social media about being out and about and doing social
Probably
stuff?
Not.
Okay.
I mean, they're already doing that, so.
Right. You can see, though, where fans, I can see it coming from a mile down. It's happening already because the text line, our texters are wonderful. You can see it. They're saying this is a bunch of crap, that it's not about COVID, it's about other things. And using COVID as an excuse is lame. And I'm being kind using those
Well, there's
words.
certainly, as Zach By always says, there certainly can be two things true at one time. Mm-hmm. You know, is COVID a concern for them? I'm not going to discount that. Are they using it as a vehicle to try to negotiate a future CBA that we don't need an off season? Probably, yeah. I mean, they put it in their own quotes. They talked about the fact that we've had as good a football as we ever had last year without an offseason. I mean, they are moving towards trying to remove the offseason program. That's what the NFLPA is moving towards. Mm-hmm. So, is COVID a concern? I'm not going to entirely discount that, but are they using it to try to further a future argument? Probably.
On the text line, on a Hot Take Tuesday, brought to you by Papa Murphy's. Order your pizza for pickup today. Johnny. So you're telling me Kroenke wants to put Ball Arena just below Dick's Sporting Goods Park? Makes sense. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate it.
Hey, that's just the name of the stadium and the arena.
Johnny's he's just pointing something out.
Right.
Mount Columbus speak. If the Broncos draft Fields and go 5-12, will D-Mac be sitting here next April talking about how, quote, insert QBs is the next Bronco savior? QBs meaning multiple, because according to D-Mac, you just take anyone in the top 10.
Well,
let's see if you get this one right.
Yeah.
Columbus.
It's a good question. I don't really have the confidence in my answer that I really know the accurate response to it, because, you come up with dictums, you come up with manifestos, you come up with what's the Glennon Trubisky doctrines?
Yep.
You come up with doctrines,
Yep.
right? Mm-hmm. But you do jump ship on them all the time. And so,
Do I?
Oh yeah, you've jump shipped on every last one of them.
On the doctrine I have?
I think so. I don't know.
On the Tebow manifesto, I jump ship?
Yeah, well, you've acknowledged to me that you can never win a championship with Tebow.
I said the best way to work is to do what I advocated.
So, long story short, I don't know. I mean, he'll come up with some new quarterback theory for Justin Fields, and, we had the 37-game dictum with Drew Lock, but we jump shipped on that after the season, so I don't know what will happen. Who am I to try to understand D-Mac's quarterback theories?
Do you?
Who am I to try to wrap my head around that?
Do you think I'm advocating for just draft any quarterback?
A little bit, yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. Yep. I mean, if I'm being totally honest with you, I do think that you are advocating for that.
So you've heard me advocate for Kyle Trask. You've heard me advocate
Well, I've heard you advocate for 4 out of the 5 quarterbacks.
Well, have you heard me advocate for 5 out of the 5?
No, I said 4 out of the 5. That's pretty dang close to 5 out of 5.
But it's not 5 out of 5. But it's not.
That's pretty dang close.
So it's not just all or any of them. It's not any quarterback. Because it's not any.
All right, all but one.
Okay.
I mean, there's not a huge difference there.
But there's a difference.
Okay, all but one.
Okay.
Sure, take any but one.
So as long as there's a difference, that's all I care about.
Sure, technically speaking.
The answer to that question, though, is no. If the Broncos take Justin Fields, they are now committed to Justin Fields eventually. I don't know exactly.
I thought they'd be in a competition with Drew Lock.
No, they'll be developing.
I mean, just last week you told me it wouldn't be a big deal if Drew Lock kept the job and you had to trade Justin Fields for a couple of draft picks. You just told me that last week.
What was the scenario that would be okay?
If Drew Lock balled out.
That's right.
Sure.
It's a good problem to have.
But hold on, you just said we're committed to Justin Fields, so which one is it?
It would be the development of Justin Fields under Drew Lock, but Drew Lock would have an opportunity. He would, if he's still on the team. It's not my ideal situation. I would have gone and got a veteran and then gone after Justin Fields, and that would be obviously the Glennon Trubisky doctrine. That's my first choice. You could actually still do that. In fact, you've advocated looking at the veteran quarterback pool. And if you got Justin Fields, the smartest thing to do in that case is probably find a veteran that you're happy with.
No.
That's not the smartest thing to do?
No, if we draft Justin Fields, I'm done with quarterbacks. I'm not making a trade to go after another veteran quarterback at that point.
Okay, so that's the difference then.
If we don't get Justin Fields, then I'm going out and I'm trading for Gardner Minshew or I'm trading for Nick Foles or someone in that category. But no, I mean, if we select Justin Fields, to me, I don't need to add any further depth to my quarterback room. I got everything I need. I've got Drew Lock. He's a great backup quarterback. I've got the future, who is going to be Justin Fields. And I'm definitely not going to waste more draft picks on going to get a veteran.
All right, so we slightly disagree on that. But essentially what would happen if the Broncos went 5-12 and had drafted, here's where we're going to find common ground, I think. I would not be sitting here talking about drafting any quarterback if they go 5-12 and Justin Fields is on the team. What I'd be advocating for, which is what exactly I advocated for with Paxton Lynch, is time after the first year to hand it over to Justin Fields and let's go. And then you got to see how that goes for the next couple of years.
Well, see, then I got to question, what happened to the 37-game dictum? Isn't that what you were saying about Drew Lock?
I said you have to treat Drew Lock as if.
Right.
As if.
So you got to commit to the next 37 games.
You should if you believed in him. But what we saw, they don't believe in him because they try to acquire Matt Stafford.
That was your dictum.
Well, the dictum still applies. If you want somebody to work out, you've got to commit to him eventually. Listen, I don't know. I'm not the one that came out and said we need to get better competition. I'm not the one that advocated to go get Matt Stafford. The Broncos did. George Payton did. So, okay, I guess it goes down the toilet then because you're not willing to commit to it. Tyler, if they were really willing to commit to Drew Lock,
I would commit to Justin Fields for sure. So, yes, we're in agreement on that.
So 5-12 wouldn't bother me at all. You get Justin Fields, I will not be sitting here a year from now advocating to draft a quarterback because I've never been like that, ever. Unfortunately, what's happened is we've gone the Mike and Mark stratagem of just trying to develop a team without focusing on quarterback. That'll be what happens, and I'll be a happy camper. But if they draft Micah Parsons with Justin Fields on the board, my head will explode. Again, this is the Drive on the Fan.
Let's do it!
Does your company make safety a top priority? Alliance Safety, Colorado's premier supplier of safety equipment, is here to help make it one. As an authorized distributor of 3M safety products and home to all pro gear, Alliance has a vast inventory of personal protective equipment designed to keep your workers safe, including fall protection, safety glasses, protective gloves, and gas detection solutions. Visit AllianceSafetyInc.net. Call 303-388-8766 or stop by the Alliance Safety Warehouse off I-70 and Tower today to lock up all your safety needs.
You're listening to The Drive on Sports Radio 104.3 The Fan. Here's Tyler Columbus and T-Mac.
Hot Take Tuesday brought to you by Papa Murphy's. You realize in a 5-12 season, it'll likely look like Fields is no good. Well, I mean, that depends. How'd Justin Herbert look?
Fantastic.
No, what was their record?
Not good.
What was the Chargers' record?
Oof. Not good.
It wasn't good, right? So how did Herbert look? Plus, you don't really know 5-12.
Chargers were 7-9 last year.
7-9. I mean, it's not automatic if the Broncos got Fields that he'd be the starter from day one. You know, likely he wouldn't be.
You know, I hear what you're saying on that. Inherently, I actually would agree in most circumstances, because most circumstances you would have an older guy that is here. But I think with our circumstance, with Drew Lock, if you were to draft a guy like Justin Fields or anybody at number 9, they immediately replace Drew Lock, because Drew Lock doesn't have the veteran knowledge of the game that most guys do in that circumstance. So most of the time I agree with you, but I think this year if you select a guy, that's your dude, day one, OTAs moving forward. Oh, I guess not OTAs, but in training camp.
Hot take. The Broncos will be presented with a Bradley Chubb, Josh Allen 2.0 scenario when they pick at 9. And the Broncos will do the same thing they did in 2018 and select a linebacker instead of a quarterback when they take Micah Parsons over Justin Fields.
The only thing that would top that is Carolina takes Devontae Smith, Fields is out there, the Broncos are on the clock, and Roger Goodell walks up and says, "We have a trade."
And the Broncos trade
have
to New
traded
England?
back.
Oh.
New England is on the board.
Oh, my gosh. You're right.
And the Patriots select quarterback Justin Fields, Ohio State. Oh, my God.
Yes. Wow.
I think it'd be a great move, but
There it is.
That would not go.
There it is.
that's why I'm rooting for it.
Yes.
People would lose their minds. They would. They would lose their minds. And I'd be like, wow, George Payton, I love you. You have major onions.
Mm-hmm.
Double order.
So George Payton, according to Mike, would have double onions if he did the same exact thing that John Elway did, which ended up in John Elway firing himself, which has given the Broncos a horrible run and we're filled with deep regret. And Mike and Mark literally want the same thing to happen again.
Well, here's the problem with it. I mean, if Justin Fields were sitting there, do I like Justin Fields? I do, but I happen to have a guy graded higher than him on my personal board. Would I stick to my board if Penny Sewell and Justin Fields were available? I would. I would select Penny Sewell because that's the guy that I'm putting my personal stamp on, that he's going to be a Ring of Famer type of player. He's going to be multiple contracts, Pro Bowler, and I can't put that type of stamp on Justin Fields. Now, if it were Micah Parsons, I've got Micah Parsons lower, and I think that the Broncos would be wise to follow their own evaluations of these players. And, you know, it really depends on who that quarterback is. So if it's a quarterback that they've got rated highly, then of course you take him. Of course the quarterback is always going to be the more important position.
Yeah, but they want, okay, fine. They want Micah Parsons instead of Justin Fields.
Okay. I mean, I want Penny Sewell, and I'm not going to call him crazy. I've got Penny Sewell graded above Justin Fields.
Okay, but let's just talk about Micah Parsons.
I mean, that's my personal evaluation.
I get it. It's a tackle. It's a higher priority position than an inside linebacker, no doubt. But they like an inside linebacker more than a quarterback.
Well, I think what
just
it really,
to keep it straight.
Here's what it really should be. It's not about liking an inside linebacker or liking Micah Parsons more than the quarterback position, as it is what quarterback is available and how do you have him graded. Right. If you've got him graded highly, then you select the quarterback. And if you don't, I mean, this is where I give you a little bit of grief that it does feel like you're saying you would select just about anybody because, okay, if you're saying you select 4 out of the 5, well, standards aren't very high in that scenario.
Let's go through it real quick.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Okay.
I've got 3 guys.
Zach Wilson and Justin Fields.
Yep.
And you're not a fan of Trey Lance or Mac Jones?
I am a huge fan of Trey Lance. I think he's going to be a major boom or bust prospect. And in the right situation, he might be the most successful quarterback. We just don't happen to be the right situation for him.
Agreed. But if they did take Trey Lance,
I would hate it.
You would hate it.
I would.
All right.
Because what's the philosophy around it?
We're firing Pat Shurmur and Vic Fangio.
Okay, well then do that the day that you select Trey Lance. And bring in the guy that you've got the game plan for Trey Lance, because that's what it's going to require to succeed.
You know that's not going to happen. But
right,
what if,
which is why I would hate it.
All right, but you have said everybody's on a 1-year redshirt sort of deal.
Yep.
What if George Payton, who's not?
You just delayed a year of development that Trey Lance desperately needs. And now you're on a 2 to 3 year horizon before you get any success whatsoever out of Trey Lance.
Right.
I would hate it.
But now you have a chance to develop, get coaches and a coordinator that are going to fit him.
In a year's time, after you just wasted a year, and now you're on a 2 to 3 year horizon.
Of course, it doesn't seem to make much sense at all.
Right.
I get it. So ultimately, I agree with you about Trey Lance. So Trey Lance to me is out. So we agree on 3. Trey Lance is out. I'm not talking about just anybody. I'm not talking about Kyle Trask I'm talking about Kellen Mond as a developmental guy in the 5th round. If he's not there, he's not there. It's hardly a part of a plan. It's that literally is he better than Brett Rippon?
If you're 4 quarterbacks, you don't have a single guy on your board that you trust more to select than any of those 4?
My guy is Justin Fields.
No. That wasn't the question.
What's the question?
I know that Justin Fields is your guy.
Okay.
The question is, of those 4 quarterbacks on your personal big board, you don't have a single other non-quarterback that you would have evaluated as a better prospect than those 4 quarterbacks.
No, because the value
that's crazy.
The value of the quarterback is so high.
Well, now you're just valuing the position, not the player.
Correct. Well, it's a combination.
And I would inherently disagree with that big time.
See, this is where, I think reasonable people can have reasonable disagreements, and Mike and Mark are Mike and Mark. That you have to evaluate the value of the quarterback to some degree differently than the value of the other positions. And that's where quarterback is the most unique position in all of sports. There is not one position in all of sports as valuable to a team as a quarterback is to a football team. The end. You cannot find me an example of where Jamal Murray went out for the Nuggets. Horrible, horrible, horrible news. The season's not over. It doesn't look great to win a championship. He doesn't have the value as a quarterback.
No. I'm not saying he does.
And neither would Jokic.
I think the season is over.
Well, we're fixing to find out. And we'll get to the Jamal Murray situation with the top 6 next.